Yo, yo. What it do, what it do? This is the 864 coming at you. I represent my area code. My area code is a part of my personality. It's part of my identity. It's who I am on the inside. I'm just three fucking digits. 864. Yeah. Woohoo. You don't know what it's like over here in the 864, bro. You want to know what it's like? It's pretty stupid. It's dumb. They're not the best numbers on the market. They aren't. There are far better numbers. Like 666. Oh no! Oh gosh. I knew it. He was the devil the entire time. Yeah, let's say it's Saturday. Today is Saturday, everybody. Yay. Just been hanging out. Food supplies are dwindling. I ate my last meal. It was a saltine cracker. I got very, very much like I'm like down to like four sandwiches. I have basically enough food for Monday and Tuesday. Tomorrow, by tomorrow I mean like later today. In a few hours, I'll go and get some breakfast. I have enough money for that. I'll be able to make it until payday. I'm just hanging out for dear life though. I'm gonna have to stop my phone service for a week, I guess. But that's okay. I can do that. I got Wi-Fi. Nobody really talks to me. Just finished reading Frankenstein. I I have the complete annotated version, so there's still a little bit more to go, but I just finished the actual story part. And I'm rather proud of myself because I get to see that. Where is it? Right there. Oh yeah, baby. I get to add it to my little bedside library. Mostly of books I've stolen and one book I accidentally bought. Life is a strange way. Yeah. But it was a good read. I liked it. It was uncanny how I felt so sympathetic. I really identified with the creature. I felt absolutely abhorred by Frankenstein. Everybody confuses Frankenstein with the monster. Everybody thinks that the monster, the green guy with the bolts coming out the side of his neck, that's Frankenstein. That's actually not Frankenstein. That's just the creature. He doesn't have a name. Frankenstein is the doctor, the scientist, who's like, it's alive! So, I was absolutely abhorred by Victor Frankenstein. Especially after I've gotten some experience being a bit of a surrogate father myself with, helping to raise my godson, helping to raise my nephew. Shit, some people are just not cut out for parenthood, for making children, while others, like myself, are. But I don't know, I guess the ironic part is, like, I'm probably not gonna have kids because I also don't want to share my time and power and money with anyone else but myself. And you, of course. Let's not forget about you. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to tie myself down. I don't want to lock this shit down. I just want to be me. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll have kids. But I feel like right now I'm about to take a shit, which is sort of like having kids. It's it's nothing. It's nothing like having kids. That's just terrible. I feel bad for saying that. I'm gonna I'm gonna tuck you in, okay? You're my child. You can be my kid. I'll tuck you in here so you're all nice and comfy. And I'm gonna go pop a squat. I'll be right back. We're back. And yeah, I washed my hands for like 20 seconds. 'Cause I want to make America great again. So, let me take these off. Forgot what I was talking about. Do. Hang on. Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Yeah, that doesn't look good. Oh shit. Why can't things ever work the way they're supposed to? This is just... I'll deal with that later. So yeah. Ew. It's making noises, I can hear it. Whatever. You wanna listen to some music? Let's put some music on. Something for the background. Helps me think. Music, where you at? So some chill ass sci-fi vibes.
Yo, you're live with Anderson Beck. Today we're talking pro money moves. Ooh, we got our first call.
Hey, Pete, I'm paying rent straight from my bank.
No.
Is that the move?
Nah.
I got no thoughts on this current advertisement.
Straight to you.
Wait, really? My boy Robbie said that when you...
Robbie don't got the moves. They would be.
Something about
It's the safer thing
hackers.
to do.
Hack the planet, man. Hack the planet. I feel like it's not even advertising on YouTube at this point anymore. It's bullying. That's what I feel like. That's a little too loud. Just a tiny bit. Just want some ambience. Yeah, that's one of the things that I think about sometimes. Is on YouTube, like the fucking advertising situation has just turned into bullying. It's redonkulous at this point. I remember when, I remember when YouTube used to have a different fucking icon. It used to be a little TV. I remember the 5-star rating system. I remember when that changed. Gosh. Now the algorithm can like read your mind and knows your dreams and your future ambitions and stuff. So it's quite a time to be alive. That's for sure. I'm alive, right? I didn't like die when I hit my head that one time, and this is all just some kind of weird purgatory that I've been existing in. That's probably the case. Like, I'm gonna like, I don't know, I'll figure it out one day. So I was thinking earlier, while all those videos were uploading, I'm being over here because my battery is low. Put you on the vine. So divine. I was thinking about my mom earlier and stuff and the situation of my life and things like that. And I had a lot of different thoughts on that subject. One of them is that if you were to ask anybody who knew me and my family back in the day, which was like before 2022, they would tell you two things about my mom. Anybody. They would say that she's a crazy bitch, but they love her. That's completely true across all boards, I think, with absolutely everybody that knew her, including, but not limited to, myself. She was definitely a crazy bitch, and I did love her. That's true words. I don't know where to begin. There are a lot of places to start. There are a lot of things to talk about. But I guess we can start with when she began drinking again. That was when I turned 18. I remember my mom brought home a couple of boxes of wine, and she was really excited about it, and she put them all on the counter, and there were different types, it was Merlot, and then the other ones, and she got like some juice glasses. She gave me one, she gave my brother one, she gave my sister one, she had one. I think my stepdad was there at the time, and my stepsister as well. And we all had some wine. Like, it was like a, little wine tasting thing that we did. And that's when basically everything changed. That's when it all went, that's when the eyebrows came off. I honestly, I look back at that moment and wish it had never happened, because they say that weed is the gateway drug. That's not at all true. I've never experienced anything bad from weed. From alcohol, though, alcohol is absolutely terrible, and that's really all you need to get into a fucked up situation and fucked up life. It's not like heroin or fentanyl or whatever, but it's tried and true. It's a timeless wonder. It's got its place at the table, and it's not going anywhere. This shit will fuck your day up, man. That shit will fuck your life up long ways. And after that, I graduated from high school. Had pretty good grades. I was always very interested in my academics, and I had a scholarship to go to college. I went to the local community college, which was, I don't think it was a community college, but it was a local college, and it was a satellite college for USC Columbia. USC is in South Carolina, and while I was there, my mom became more. So we moved to this big house in the country, and because my stepdad, my mom had married this guy. He was a nuclear power plant startup. He made lots of money, and we were living in like a normal house in a normal neighborhood. And that was fine. That was fine for me. It was fine for us. My brother was even living there with us too. He was living in the backyard because he had failed out of college up at USC Columbia, got a girl pregnant, married her, then divorced her, and surrendered his rights to the baby. All really quickly. And so he was happily intoxicated and embedded in the backyard in this Amish shed that was really nice. Actually, it was like the only thing it didn't have was running water. He would have to come in to take showers or to do number 2 or something like that. Anyways, we moved out of that and into this big country house in the country where all the country houses live, and it was pretty isolated. I'm not kidding. Like, our neighbors were like 2 miles away in every direction. Well, that's not true. There's a guy across the street. he was only a mile and a mile and a half away. The driveway was like a quarter of a mile long. You know, there were packs. We were out there on this lock system, this man-made lake tiered lock system, and there was a pack of wild, or should I say feral dogs. There was a pack of feral dogs that used to roam the area. They were eventually hunted down and killed, but there was a dog fighting ring in that general area because there was a lot of land back there. This particular area of land had been developed into a high-end equestrian neighborhood that we were staying in. But there were trailer parks, and there was farmers who had their own land. We actually lived not too far away. I could walk through the woods, and I could see Strom Thurmond's. I think it was either Strom Thurmond or one of his sons had an estate nearby. So yeah, you can go through the woods and see that, and see all the I think he had like sheep or something on his property. You know, like he had like an estate. You know what I'm saying? And that was across another big ass lake that you can see to the other side. We stayed at that house for about 7 years, and things just progressively got crazier and crazier. I fell into that's where I fell into my online pornography addiction, because that was like my escape for the longest time. It was just, let's go to our happy place. You know what I'm saying? Drinking was for me. I mean, I didn't really drink that heavily at the start of things. I kind of, just drank casually. It was just whatever. I didn't really find a drink that I liked until I developed a taste a little bit. But there are these ragers that we threw living out there in Timbuktu. And my brother was really the catalyst for that. He would have his, like, any excuse for a party, like birthdays, bar mitzvahs, quinceañeras, whatever. Quinceañera? How do you say that again? I know there's more syllables in that one. Come on, I'll figure that one out. Anyways, we had him, like, always wanting to throw a party at our house. He was living, I think he had gotten his own house at that point. He was like 2 hours away in a different town, but any excuse for a party, and he would get his friends together, and he would make, he would make it very festive. That's one of the ways I learned about jungle juice. That's what he called it. And experimenting with fruits and fermentation, and making jungle juice to get absolutely blasted on. I didn't really find any of that personally to be fun, because, I mean, I never really enjoyed being drunk. I remember hating the feeling of being too intoxicated that the room starts to spin. And I remember the countless nights being, totally wasted, looking at the fucking smoke alarm. A fucking smoke alarm light, just being like, woo, 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 woo. I was just like, oh, stop it, oh, blah. But I mean, like, you get into the bottle, you get into it, you know how the spiral works. it becomes an excuse for a personality. It becomes an excuse for an identity. It becomes an excuse for a culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just an excuse more than anything. It takes a while to realize that. You really have to step outside of it to realize what it is. I'm not even very, like, uppity or spiritual or anything, but being sober for the past 6 months, completely sober for the past 6 months, you see what those Chinese people mean when they say, in order to understand manifestation, you have to get outside of desire. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I see that as, you know, now I have like a bit of an outsider's point of view on the juice of the alcohol berry. Yeah. Yeah, but my mom, she drank like a motherfucking sailor, and she was different. She was a different kind of drunk. She would get one drop of alcohol in her, and she would completely change. Her personality would completely change. She would be a completely different person. It was phenomenal. It was uncanny. It was terrifying, because you know this person for like 20 years of your life. You grew, you know, it's like it's your mom, and all of a sudden this magical liquid comes along, and she gets one drop of it into her, and she is not her anymore. It is like that person is gone, and there is another person in her place. And I hated that. I hated that more than anything. That was the worst. That was the absolute worst, because she would become extremely abusive and just incredibly destructive, and she would go on these 2-week-long benders and get into all sorts of shenanigans. And during this time, I'm going to college, and my sister is in high school. She's a senior in high school, right? Right? No. She was 4 years behind me, so if I'm in college, she's a freshman. This started when she was a freshman. Yeah. Let me get my coffee. So, my mom had this sort of idea about my sister, that my sister was going to be like her, like my mom. And my mom was very demonstrative and in this respect, and it was pretty bad. Like, there was, you know, I think that every dad and every mom wants their children to be just like them. Like, it's like a second chance for them to be young again. Yada yada, blase blase. But my mom went about it in a really twisted kind of way. And I remember there was a few instances where my mom was trying to kill my sister. I remember my sister telling me one time that my mom lifted her up by her neck and was choking her, and had her against the wall. And my sister said this look came over my mom's face, where it was like, I think that she said something like, this look came over her eyes, like it was like she had turned to stone, or like she was like gray. This like gray look came into her eyes, and like this weird kind of smile came on her face. You know, this is all while I'm at college, so I didn't do so well in college. Not to mention the fact that anytime I had to study, my mom would sing and make a bunch of noises and be like on a week-long bender and doing crazy stuff and being all chaotic and shit, so I'd never be able to study. And I failed out of college because of that. I didn't actually fail, I quit, because I couldn't deal with what was going on at home, you know, and also be a good student. So that's one of the main things that fucked my life up long ways. I remember this one time, oh my gosh, this was one of the this is one of the fucking highlights, okay? So, my mom was getting into these, like, into like organizing all the boxes and stuff, because we had this big ass house, and there were a lot of storage areas in the house that went along the length of the house on the second floor. And the second floor was really high up, because we had cathedral ceilings. So, up 2 flights of stairs, but the stairs, each flight is like 32 steps or something. I mean, like, we're up there. And I remember telling her not to do this. I remember specifically saying, like, look, I don't, because she'd be like, she'd do that when she was drunk. She'd go, doing that kind of shit, and that used to irk the fucking living daylights out of me. I would not be able to be around her when she was doing that. I would get up and leave the fucking room, because I'd just be like, I'm sorry, I can't. But she asked me if I was going to help her, you know, organize all the boxes in the storage room, and I was like, yeah, sure, you know, because I'm thinking, like, during the daytime, like a normal person. But no, she meant like at, well, whatever time she decided to do it, which usually came to be around like 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I was like, it's 3 a.m., Mom. Like, I'm not gonna help you with this at 3 a.m. You want to wake up and do this during the day like a normal person, I'm all yours. If you're gonna fucking sit here and do this shit at like 3 a.m., I'm not gonna be a part of it. Like, this is stupid. Like, I'm fucking tired. Like, why do you want to do this now? And she'd just be like, just go, I'll do it. I was like, I don't want you doing this. You're fucking drunk. Like, there are, like, areas up here where the, you know, all that pink fluffy stuff, like, you can't walk on that, you know, and there's barely a walkway for anybody when they're sober. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't long after that I heard the crash, and my mom started calling my name, and I ran into the storage room, and I looked down, I'm like, where are you? And she's like, Trevor! And I'm like, Mom! And I move a couple of the boxes back, and I'm looking, and then I look down, and there she is, holding on to one of the beams, and she's like, Trevor, get your brother! And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? She's like, I fell through. And I was like, yeah, I could see that. I hate to say I told you so, but, so I go downstairs, because, you know, I'm thinking, prepare for the worst, and I'm trying to find out where she is from the downstairs. Like, I'm trying to locate her. And I go in, like, you know, using my echolocation. I'm like, Mom, where are you? She's like, I'm over here. I go into her room, and she's got cathedral ceilings in her room, bro. The fucking ceiling is like 35, 40 feet up, okay? I look up, and I see my mom's legs coming through the ceiling, just dangling. And, that's permanently seared into my brain, because my idea was to move the bed or put soft things underneath her in case she does fall. Maybe she won't die. And so I moved her mattress, I moved her bed underneath her, so that way, in case she fell, she would bounce and then hit the ground. No, she would hopefully not, you know, sustain very many injuries, because she was heavy. She was like 200, 250, 260 pounds. She was overweight. And I don't know how she held onto that beam for so long. I went back upstairs after doing that, and I was like, all right, give me your hand. And she was like, no, I want your brother. And I was like, ouch. I was like, ouch. That hurts. You don't want me to save you? You want him to save you? He's 2 hours away. She's like, call him. Get him on the phone. I was like, damn. You're such a bitch. You're such a bitch. You don't want me to fucking help you. Like, you are literally about to fall 40 feet. You might, land funny and die. But you don't want me to help you. You don't want me to touch you even. You want your firstborn here. You're going to play favorites now. And this is the truth coming out. And alcohol will do that. It's an ugly business. So I was like, fine. I called my brother, told him what was going on. He was like, son of a bitch. And he cursed me out. He was like, why don't you fucking help her? I was like, she doesn't want me to help her. He's like, fuck you, I'll be right over. He got there in 45 minutes. I have no idea how he did that. And he was really pissed off. And he got her up out of the hole. And, don't do it again. Well, it happens many, that particular incident never happened again. But, there were many more shenanigans to come. That was one of the highlights. That was one of the peak ones. And, it's nice to be able to look back on things and laugh. But, there was a lot of traumatic shit going on, too. A lot of traumatic shit. It was just normalized. I just kind of fucking normalized it. That's one of the things I was thinking about earlier, is how I normalized this. My brother was not present, and he had his own alcoholism going on too. Then at 21, when I turned 21, I smoked weed for the first time, and I kind of got into smoking pot, and that was a lot better for me. And at a certain point, there was a lot of cocaine going on in the house. That was my mom. My mom got into cocaine really heavily. And all sorts of shit went on. Eventually we got out of that house and we moved to into a townhouse closer to town. And that's when I was starting to really influence my mom to start smoking pot and to come off the cocaine and alcohol so much. And I was kind of able to do that. And over more and more time, I was able to convince my mom to just really ease off of the hard stuff and just stay with weed. And for a while, it was good, For a while, I was able to influence her like that. And during that period of time, we spent a lot of time together eating, because we were high. And we would turn off the TV. I would make sure that the TV was turned off, or if it was on, it was just on something ambient like this. And we would talk to each other, and it would just converse just about whatever. And those were some of the best times that I ever had with her. She would talk a lot about her childhood. She would talk a lot about her youth. And the people, I would never meet these people. I never knew these people, but just people that meant something to her when she was growing up, and her various adventures and misadventures in life. And if I didn't have anything currently going on, I'd talk to her about, the books I was reading, or the fears that I had, or dreams I had, and stuff like this. But we would just talk, and I would make sure that we faced each other, that we personally would face one another, that we weren't sitting next to each other looking at something, but that we were looking at each other. And I had a really good connection with her during those days. And then she got brain cancer. She got brain cancer during COVID. And I feel like because of the pandemic, her brain cancer went unnoticed, because we went to the hospital many times when she started showing symptoms, and the healthcare providers were preoccupied with COVID pandemic protocol. Instead of trying to figure out what exactly was wrong with my mom, they were just trying to figure out whether or not she had COVID. And I feel like because of that, her brain cancer developed faster and went undetected. And by the time it was detected, it was way too late. You know? I mean, I also blame, that there's absolutely no way that you can't blame yourself for the death of somebody that you love. You know, there's no way around that. 'Cause I blame myself. Like, I honestly think that somehow I psychically gave her brain cancer. Like, somehow I touched her mind with my mind, and I gave her brain cancer because she couldn't handle it. Like, that's an actual thought that I have. And then I also think that there were people like satanic witches and like Native Americans and evil farmers all conspiring against me and my family. Like, I have these sort of conspiratorial, what's the word? All of a sudden I can't think of it. These conspiratorial paranoias. I know that they're not logical, but that doesn't change the fact that they're not very influential ideas in my mind. But I can only really work within the framework of information that makes sense, and the most sensible information I have to work with is that the pandemic was definitely it was a player in the development of my mom's brain cancer, because of the way the healthcare providers were preoccupied with COVID-19 pandemic protocols. Instead of doing their job, they just focused on COVID bullshit. And I'm not saying anything about whether or not the pandemic was real, or whether or not COVID-19 was real. I'm not making any commentary on that, period. What I'm making a commentary on is the service provided by the healthcare workers at that time, which was negligible. Terribly negligible. There's a lot to go through. I mean, these videos are in some way therapeutic. Like, I can't afford therapy right now. I can't afford insurance. I'll try to get insurance next year because I want to go to the dentist. Because I haven't been to the dentist since 2017. I'm spitting blood every single time I brush my teeth. But that might not happen next year. It might not be for a little while. So I use these videos to kind of work through my problems. Yeah. Anyways, I don't really have much to talk about right now. That's all I had on my mind. So I'll let you go. Keep your social distance, fool.